At the back of the field are Filthy Fast and Whirly Girly. Liberal Lady passes the 5 furlong pole, leading the way by 2. Lawana is second, just in front of Anybody's Choice third. Tennessee Moon at the rail fourth, 3 lengths off the pace. 2 more Filthy Fast and Whirly Girly. They head toward the 3/8 pole, and Liberal Lady tries to sneak away, but Tennessee Moon moves clearly into second now. Lawana under pressure between horses, passed by Anybody's Choice. Filthy Fast, Pink Cap on the outside, 5 off the lead. 2 clear of Whirly Girly. They're a quarter of a mile from home. And Liberal Lady still in charge by 2. Tennessee Moon switches to the outside to try to close the gap. These two pretty much clear the rest. Liberal Lady is showing no signs of weakening and has a 4-length lead coming to the 16th pole. It's Liberal Lady. Liberal Lady is home free. Liberal Lady wins by almost 5 lengths. Tennessee Moon, Anybody's Choice, and Filthy Fast. And they're off. Very even start. Bluegrass Loot is going out to battle for the early lead. Here's Habeas coming through, and Habeas is now up to take the lead. Lasmo moves into second with Bluegrass Loot in third. They're followed by Trusty Rusty, fourth, about 6 lengths off the lead. Vagabond Shoes is next. It's a gap of 4 to the next flight. Chicken Finger Friday, Pat Can't Count, and We Need Marketing at the back of the field. It's Habeas with the pedal to the metal into the far turn. Habeas has a 4-length lead. Lasmo is in second, followed at the rail by Trusty Rusty, and Vagabond Shoes is next. 3 more to Bluegrass Loot, who's about 8 lengths off the speed. Another couple back to Chicken Finger Friday, Pat Can't Count, and We Need Marketing needs to pick it up. They're at the top of the stretch. It's Habeas in front. Here comes Vagabond Shoes bearing down. Lasmo is in between and with a big chance too. Lasmo is right up to Habeas with Vagabond Shoes to their outside. Lasmo and Vagabond Shoes come for the wire together. Vagabond Shoes gradually getting by, and Vagabond Shoes wins it going away by over 2. Lasmo was second. Then it was Habeas, Trusty Rusty, and Chicken Finger Friday. They're in the gate. And they're off. Sangria Soul, Flatter with Jewels, the first 2 out. California Gigi comes away in third, drifting just a touch. Chever Arbiter racing on the outside in fourth, about 3 lengths off the lead. Sacred Beauty is racing in between horses, and a Broken Breeze at the back. 6 lengths covers the field at the 6 furlong pole. It's Flatter with Jewels on the inside with Sangria Soul. They're on even terms. Chever Arbiter 3 wide and tugging a bit, going right after the top pair as Sangria Soul rests a narrow lead. Then a Broken Breeze in fourth, has 3 lengths to make up, 5 furlongs from home. Sacred Beauty with the blue cap between rivals, and California Gigi is down at the rail. It's Flatter with Jewels, Sangria Soul, Chever Arbiter ahead, back 3 wide third, less than a half mile to travel. Then California Gigi, outside a Broken Breeze, and Sacred Beauty between those two. Flatter with Jewels 3 furlongs out, trying to sneak away, has it a half length to Sangria Soul, who gets a nudge second. Chever Arbiter now a length back, 3 wide third. A Broken Breeze, widest of all, California Gigi, and then Sacred Beauty. They're a quarter of a mile from home. And Sangria Soul comes back for more outside. Flatter with Jules. These two arrive at the 3/16 together. Flatter with Jules hugs the rail. Just in front, Sangria Soul and neck back second. 4 more to California Gigi in third. A 16th to go. Flatter with Jules, Sangria Soul. What a battle the whole way. Sangria Soul, Flatter with Jules, nose and nose for the wire. And Sangria Soul prevails under Abdul Al Sagur in a long drive with Flatter with Jules. Then it was California Gigi and a Broken Breeze. Walks up. They're in the gate, and they're off. Mongolian Sky and Seismic Spirit are dueling through the opening furlong, and they have sped clear immediately. Raji comes away third, passed now by Eddie Crossfire, who takes that third spot. Another couple of lengths back to Terrier, who's passing a rival now. At the rail comes Don't Test Your Luck. Sippin' Whiskey with the red blinkers is next, and Vortex Trails. They strung out into the far turn. Mongolian Sky leads it by 2. Eddie Crosswire finds a seam, takes advantage, and pounces at the rail. And Seismic Spirit keeps pace with the top pair. In fact, Seismic Spirit now takes the lead around the far turn. Eddie Crosswire is second. Mongolian Sky fights on in between them third. Terriers close up in fourth, just 2 lengths off the lead. Then Raji and Sippin' Whiskey there at the top of the stretch. Terrier let loose on the outside of Seismic Spirit, and these two hook up with a furlong left to go. It's Terrier on the outside, very professionally taking charge. Seismic Spirit at the rail second, with Raji an honest third past the 16th. Terrier in front, and Terrier prevails at first asking. Raji was second. Seismic Spirit third, then Sippin' Whiskey and Don't Test Your Luck in a photo with Eddie Crosswire for fifth. They're in the gate. And they're off. Hoop Dream bounces out swiftly. Quick intro on the far outside is fast. Here's Seattle Breakout joining them, and Mitiko is faster than all. So Mitiko will set the pace as they run down the backstretch. Fireman Dan is racing at the rail, 3 lengths off the leader. Can't Beat the Rock right next to him. 2 more to Crypto Money, and Hoop Dream, who broke on top, now trails. Mitiko heads into the far turn with a 2-length edge, with Quick Intro on the outside in pursuit second. At the rails, Seattle Breakout is third, followed by Can't Beat the Rock. Fireman Dan on hold at this stage, 4 off the lead. Another length back to Crypto Money, who's 3 in front of Hoop Dream. Quarter of a mile to go, and it's Mitiko just in front. Quick Intro on the outside, moves to engage second. 3 more. Fireman Dan is down at the rail in third. Can't Beat the Rock is next. There's an 1/8 of a mile to run, and Mitiko digging in, maintains a 2-length lead on Quick Intro, who's now coming back for another crack at Mitiko, and these two are dominating. It's Capestro 1-2. Mitiko would not be denied. Wins by almost a length. Quick Intro fired hard. Third to Can't Beat the Rock, who finished with some nice interest in front of Fireman Dan. And then it was between Crypto Money and Seattle Breakout for fifth. Race today. Up next, the 7th in 24 minutes. Scratch 1, Maglev. There's a revised morning line. And no. They're in the gate. And they're off. Zaffarelli is very quick from the inside. Phaethon is also flashing plenty of early speed. It wasn't the best of breaks for Code Duello, but he quickly recovers and is up, moving into second. Count of Amazonias at the back of the field. Phaethon and Jose Valdivia Jr. cruising down the hill, leading it by 2 to Zaffarelli in second. Then it's Code Duello, a length and a half off the pace in third, and 2 more to Count of Amazonia. Phaethon heads toward the quarter pole, leading the way, with Code Duello closing in from second. 2 more, Zaffarelli at the rail, third, and then Count of Amazonia. Not much change as they come past the quarter pole and turning for home. It's Phaethon crossing the dirt, Code Duello up alongside in second. At the inside, looking desperately for room, there is Zaffarelli and somehow finding it. And here's Count of Amazonia. And Count of Amazonia cut loose. He and Zaffarelli will decide it. Count of Amazonia is in front, close to home. And Count of Amazonia finishes full a run. Wins by 2.5. Zaffarelli, Phaethon, and Code Duello. They're in the gate. And they're off. Unwritten Code on the far outside is quick. Feeling Graceful comes through to engage in second. La Deuxième Étoile comes away in third. Shanghai Sunrise fourth in the early going. Then it's She's a Girly Girl. Followed by Smiling Molly. Gloria Spring, who hesitated at the start, is about 10 off the pace, guided to the center, and a gap of 5 to Starship Sky. Half mile to go, and it's Unwritten Code. La Deuxième Étoile, a length back second, then Feeling Graceful third, followed by Shanghai Sunrise, Smiling Molly, passed by She's a Girly Girl. Glorious Spring is 7 lengths off the lead and a distance to Starship Sky. They're approaching the quarter pole, and Unwritten Code still the one to catch. On the outside, Shanghai Sunrise moves into second. La Deuxième Étoile is next. Smiling Molly is one from the outside as they reach the top of the lane, and then She's a Girly Girl, followed by Feeling Graceful. They're a furlong from the finish, and Unwritten Code, very strong, spurts clear, opens up 5 lengths. Looking for room, Feeling Graceful down on the inside of La Deuxième Étoile. She's a Girly Girl, and Glorious Spring all battling for mine rewards as Unwritten Code jogs by almost 6 lengths. La Deuxième Étoile was second. Feeling Graceful, Glorious Spring, and She's a Girly Girl battled for fourth. Moose Mitchell to the outside. And they're off. 4 flag out alertly. Give Me the Loot is showing speed, and So I'm Told comes away in third. Moose Mitchell trying to save a little bit of ground going into that first turn, 3 wide, about 2.5 lengths off the pace. They're followed by Bodacious, racing inside of Foothill. Clayton Delaney is guided over to the rail, and Mamba Cool is at the back of the field. Rounding the first turn, and it's Give Me the Loot trying to slow things down up front. Moose Mitchell a joint second, So I'm Told is in between rivals. They're followed by Bodacious, racing in the red colors and about 3 or 4 lengths off the leader. Outside of him comes 4 flag, 2 more to Foothill, Clayton Delaney, and Mamba Cool continues at the back of the field. They're heading to the half-mile pole, and Give Me the Loot now being worked upon to maintain a slender lead. So I'm Told in between horses second. Moose Mitchell under a hold, 3 wide third. Bodacious, Foothill is down at the rail with the orange cap, 4 lengths off the lead. Clayton Delaney is next. Mamba Cool out of last in between horses. 4 flag now trails. Several chances coming to the quarter pole. And it still is Give Me the Loot. Give Me the Loot on the inside has been there battling every step of the way. On the outside, So I'm Told, still pestering. Foothill angles out, trying to gain some ground from third. They're in the final furlong, So I'm Told. Foothill, center of the course. Mamba Cool is finding his best stride, and it's a dangerous one, too, as Foothill hits the front past the 16th pole. And Foothill pulls away. Another for Frankie Dettori as Foothill cruises to victory. Mamba Cool from last into second. Photo for third. Went to Gimme the Loot. So I'm told is in the photo for fourth alongside Clayton Delaney. I haven't said one word, and already you know two things about today. The first one is, take a look at my shirt. The long sleeve shirt tells you that's not as warm as yesterday. Yesterday was 80 degrees. Today's about 60 degrees. I know by Southern California standards, it's cool. By the rest of the country standards, it's warm, but nevertheless, no rain in the forecast. Fast and firm conditions for our great 10-race card today at the Great Race Place. And you also know something out without me saying anything because of my guest today. His name is Ciaran Thornton. He shows up whenever there's a big money tournament. There's a big money tournament today. $1,500 is the buy-in. You can participate against Ciaran if you want to by going online at expressbet.com or playing right here at Sangria. Ciaran, happy Saturday. Welcome to the seminar.
Thanks for having me on again.
Now, you are on fire. Every time I look at a tournament leaderboard, Ciaran, you are somewhere near the top. Before we talk about any specifics, what is the secret to finding long shots? What's your secret for finding long shots in a race?
Wow, there's a lot of them, but
we got plenty of time. We got 35 minutes. Give us one or two things you look for.
It's not that I throw the chalks out. I look at what the stats are. I look at who's hot, who's not. And, horse racing is an expensive business. So if a jockey is hot, a trainer and an owner is going to want to put that jockey on a horse. Same with the owners. They're going to want a hot trainer. So that's one of the things I definitely look at, stats and how they play out and who's hot and cold.
Last Friday's, not yesterday, but last Friday's first race, we saw John Sadler and Juan Hernandez team up with a $40 winner, 4-1 on the morning line, paid $40 on the tote board. Those are the type of situations you're looking for, right? Not necessarily obscure connections, but completely overlooked for the crowd, and you try and make a case for horses like that.
That is a horse you were looking at it on paper, and you might have said, this horse might go off at 10-1. So I'm getting great value. And then as we're getting close to post time, you look at it and you see the odds progressively getting higher. And that will actually make you like the horse even more just because you're going to get even more value if you think it's only going to be 10-1.
How do you distinguish, Ciaran, between playing a favorite, not playing a favorite, or maybe staying out of the race? In other words, when do you determine that a favorite is vulnerable? What are some of the things you look for to maybe think that the favorite might not win today?
I look at all the horses fair and square. I look through them all, and if I think a favorite is the best horse on paper, I'm going to use the favorite. A lot of people shoot at long shots just to shoot at them, but if I think the favorite is legit, I'm going to use that favorite.
Do you look at morning lines prior to your handicapping, or do you look at them afterwards? In other words, what I'm trying to ask you is, do the morning lines influence who you might look at?
I go through the card, I handicap, and then I look at what the morning line is, because I found that if I'm looking at a horse that's 20-1 morning line, I may in the back of my head toss it out when I shouldn't. When I go through the card, I might go, this horse should not be 20-1. This should be a 5-1 horse.
Let's talk about some of your success in the tournaments. I talked about just as recently as this past Thursday, you played in a little $80 feeder tournament on expressbet.com, and lo and behold, you won the entry into the $1,500 live money tournament today. That's the way to play it, right?
Yes.
Play a little to win a lot, and now you're in line to basically win thousands of dollars.
The feeders are a great way to actually dip your toes in. And when you actually come out and hit some of them, they're great. A quick story before we get going. The reason I started getting on fire, other than you bringing me on the show a couple of years ago,
I won't take all credit.
Well, I had to do my due diligence, and I had to make sure I gave you some good plays. And the way I started looking at the racing started helping me. And then this past summer, the wife always has to get a mention, got tired of me saying.
And the two kids.
I always kept saying my secondary picks won the contest, my secondary picks. And the wife said, how many contest entries can you have? And I said, 2. How many are you playing? I go, 1. And it was like the slap upside the face. Why aren't you playing 2? And I think that was a big part of it for me.
Sometimes the simplest things are the most obvious, yet when you're buried in the forest, so to speak, you don't notice it. Your wife came along to kind of help you out. And it's obviously you're narrowing down the races to 2 horses, generally speaking.
Yes.
If you have 2 entries, that gives you a competitive advantage.
And when I'm actually handicapping it, some races I might think are wide open and I might have 4, 5, or 6. And I actually force myself now to narrow it down to 3. Just because there might be a scratch. Once I start getting past the 3, you start getting in the weeds, and it's not been working.
Ciaran was at Gulfstream Park for Pegasus World Cup Day. Of course, he won an entry to that tournament as well. He also did very well in the Breeders' Cup Betting Challenge. He looks at the Southern California races on a daily basis. It's our pleasure to have him as our guest today. But before we find out who Ciaran likes on today's 10-race card, we're going to toss the microphone over to track announcer Frank Miramati and get the early changes here at the Great Race Place. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Santa Anita Park. The track is fast and the turf is firm with the rail on the turf at 0 feet. Here are the early changes on today's program. In the first race, start of the 50-cent early pick 5, there are no changes. In the second, we have some blinker notes. No changes in race 3. Blinker notes in race 4. The fifth will begin the Rainbow Pick 6 today. The jackpot carryover is $21,001. No changes in the fifth. In the sixth, scratch number 6, Saul's Call. Saul's Call, the morning line favorite, and a revised morning line has been posted. In today's 7th race, blinker note. 8th race, no changes. The 9th is the Sweet Life Stakes, scratch number 11, Happy Gal. Start of the Golden Hour, pick 4. And in the 10th, scratch number 6, 1984. We have the Coast to Coast pick 5 every Saturday and Sunday, combining races from Santa Anita Park and Gulfstream Park. Every Saturday and Sunday, player-friendly Coast to Coast pick 5, combining races from Gulfstream and Santa Anita. Today, we kick it off at 1:07 our time from Gulfstream Park with their 9th race. Today's 3rd and 4th from Santa Anita are part of that sequence. There's a low 15% takeout and a $1 minimum wager. It's the Coast to Coast pick 5. Let's go back to Quigley's Corner now. Tom's special guest is Ciaran Thornton.
Welcome back. We're talking horses with horse player Ciaran Thornton. He's been on an incredible run from a tournament standpoint, and one of those incredible successes you had, Ciaran, was down at Del Mar on Pacific Classic Day. You qualified on a website called horsetourneys.com where you basically had a reduced entry fee into the tournament. It was a one-day live money tournament. Ironically, you finished second, just missing first, but even by finishing second, you took home close to $40,000 just for one day of handicapping.
It was actually almost 50. It was like 48,000 plus. And
that's enough for government work.
And I missed another 50K by $117.
Wow.
So yes,
those days like that put a smile on your face.
Oh, absolutely. And that's why, if you're not in the contest, it's a great way, especially if you love horses, to get into it.
And just to be clear, for those of you who are watching who might be interested, today's contest is a $1,500 buy-in, as I mentioned. $500 goes right to the prize pool, but all that money is paid back to the players, 100% of it. The other $1,000, you play $50 win in place on 10 races of your choice. The contest races are all the races here at Santa Anita, and then the last 4 at Gulfstream Park. So the leaderboard is going to be very tight. It's very simple. You can't play exactas, trifectas. All you can play is win in place. And basically it comes down to who the best handicappers are. And every 15 entries that are in the the tournament, one national handicapping championship seat will be awarded. And of course, that tournament is next month in Las Vegas, where you can win $1 million. So that gives you an idea why Ciaran's here today, but he's also here to give us some winners. So let's kick it off here, Ciaran, in race number 1. We're on the turf course, as I mentioned, fast and firm. The rails are at 0 feet. This is for fillies and mares. It's a starter allowance race. Also begins the 50-cent early pick 5. We've got a field of 7. The morning line favorite was down on the rail, number 1, Dendera, but the one taking the action is number 5, Jibber Jabber, 2-1 on the morning line. Before we get your thoughts on the race, Ciaran, we wanted to show the replay for number 1, Dendera. You can see she last ran on December 2nd down at Del Mar. She ran in the 6th race, and she was claimed out of that race by Leonard Powell. Now, Leonard Powell doesn't claim many runners, but if you have a good memory, you'll remember he has one of the most successful claims in Southern California, a horse by the name of Soy Fett, who wound up being $1 million winner. Let's watch that replay of Dendera, the stretch run, and you'll see that Dendera encountered all sorts of trouble as we watch. We're looking at the runner who's in the orange cap in 6th as they enter the home stretch.
So far, Storming Lady swings out to the outside of them. Loud Music is 4th with a furlong to run and is still in it. It's Gallovy, So Much Happy. Loud Music, Storming Lady, and Dendera on the far outside, putting in a strong late bid. Gallovy to catch, though. Gallovy, Dendera flying. Gallovy and Dendera. Looked like maybe Gallovy. Dendera was rolling late, and then Storming Lady and Loud Music.
Now, Ciaran, they don't pay on the gallop out, unfortunately, but you see Dendera flew by the winner of the race, Gallovy. Unfortunately, that didn't do anything for the runners who made Dendera the 2-1 morning line favorite. But you do like Dendera today, first off the claim. Tell us why.
Well, I didn't want to start today off with a chalk, but this was one of those chalks that should have absolutely won that race. I mean, that's when you look at the gallop out, this horse dominated, just had a bad ride. Pratt wasn't exactly on that day. Every hot jockey has a little bit of a cold streak.
We're human beings.
But that means, and especially today, we're actually getting 3-1 right now. And actually, that's value. You know, people think when you're looking for value, you're looking at 7-1, 10-1, 20-1. Value is when you're getting a horse at a better odds than what you think the horse should be.
One example, like Ciaran, of value is yesterday's 20-cent Rainbow Pick 6. It was a bit under the radar because it was just the first day with no carryover. But when the dust settled, the 20-cent Rainbow Pick 6 paid in excess of $8,000. And you look at the final odds of all those runners, it wasn't really all that difficult. Of course, that's easy to say in retrospect, but that represents value. 3-1 can represent value, particularly if you're singling Dendera in your 50-cent early pick 5s. But if there is a danger to Dendera in race 1, who's it going to be?
Well, I had to look for a price, and the price I ended up going with was the number 4, Rock the Bottom, as a backup. First off, the claim for Ciaran. He's been cold.
He won a race, believe it or not, though, yesterday, so he wins races in bunches.
And, you know, the jockey is too, but it's a ticket saver, and I thought a good price. I mean, I think Dendera is going to win this race. You're getting JJ now, and when he rides for Powell, they're winning 29%. So it's not like you're getting a downgrade. So ticket saver on the number 4, but I think the number 1 looks really good here.
1 and 4 in race number 1, so says Ciaran Thornton. Let's turn the page, take a look at race number 2. Begins the 50-cent early pick 4. 6.5 furlongs in the main track for fillies and mares. Once again, $16,000 claimers, non-winners of 2 races lifetime. Number 7, Parco on the bottom, is the 2-1 morning line favorite, according to our morning line odds maker, John White. What say you about race 2, Ciaran?
Well, one of my dad's favorite bets were the same jockey early daily double. So hopefully we've got a JJ daily double here with number 1, Big Bell, 1-1. Tough race. I thought this was a very tough race, and I'm hoping I can get out of alive with 2 horses in here. One last out under Pratt, who's, you know, riding somewhere else right now. But
Oaklawn Park, for those wondering.
But when JJ hops on for this trainer, he's winning 23%. So, I mean, he's got experience with the trainer and the horse, and I think it's a pretty good price.
You also like Never Sway, first off the claim for trainer Milton Pineda, who always does well, particularly at prices since he's relatively an obscure barn. What is it about Never Sway you like first off the claim?
I just really like betting small trainers and small stables. You know, I like to support them with my money. And this horse just missed last out going 6. So it's a closer, and I think he's going to appreciate this, you know, a little bit of extra distance here.
2 things about Never Sway, Ciaran, in second choice. You can see that she broke from the rail last time out. Now she draws a more advantageous outside post. Also, last time out, that winner of the race, Head Start, was actually a $40,000 maiden claiming winner, dropping in off that win into a $16,000 non-winners of 2 races lifetime. So my point is Never Sway was in a bit more difficult of a race than it might appear on paper, but Kieran's top pick in race number 2 is on the rail, number 1, Big Bell. Let's take a look at race number 3. We're on the turf course. We're on the flat turf course, 6.5 furlongs of the distance, 50 $50,000 is the claiming tag. A field of 7, number 4, Southern Horse from the Phil D'Amato barn is the 5-2 morning line favorite. For full disclosure, you're part of the Little Red Feather Syndicate, and you guys have a lot of horses with trainer Phil D'Amato. What made you get involved with the Little Red Feather?
I've just always wanted to see that side of the business. And actually, I think being a part of Little Red Feather, they give you so much information. I think it's actually helped with my handicapping,
sure,
especially in the contest, because now I get to see why owners and trainers do what they're doing, why they're placing horses in certain places. And, they've just been phenomenal with the information.
What's maybe the one thing you learned that you weren't expecting to learn when you transferred over to being an owner? In other words, was it a horseshoe? Was it the farrier? Was it, I don't know what it could be, but what maybe was the one thing that surprised you?
Just the access everywhere. Getting into the paddock, who you meet, the people you run into. I mean, it's a tight family, but it expands, if you know what I mean.
Of course.
It's a very, very unique experience.
And their suite doesn't stink either here.
Oh, no, they've got a pretty good suite.
Is Little Red Feather going to be in the winner's circle after race 3, or are you looking elsewhere?
Well, they have a really good shot, but my top choice, because I've got to go for prices, and my top choice is the number 1 again. Blistering early speed. We're getting 6-1 morning line. Kimura tries his hand right now, and I think this is a jockey we need to pay attention out here. I think we're going to start seeing him in the winner's circle a lot. That last race got into a speed duel, had the weight break, and sometimes the weight break doesn't matter, or it can be a hindrance because you put a weight break on, fire. I hope you hold on. Sometimes it's strategic. That last time I didn't think it was worth it. I like the jockey change here. Lots of sharp works. I think this horse is a pretty good price today.
Fair enough. 6-1 on the morning line, but you also like number 4, who we've been talking about, Southern Horse, for a second. Hasn't been seen since June of 2022. Do you typically get a little bit nervous about layoff horses, or when it's filled, you kind of just figure, hey, look, everything is 100% A-okay?
As I know now, horse racing is an expensive business, and maybe back in the day when prices were a lot cheaper, you might have sat on a horse for a while. But when you sit on a horse for quite a while, when you bring them out, you need to get the paychecks. You got to pay those bills. So I think things have changed over the years.
Let's try to pay some bills, Ciaran, in race number 4. This time we're going 6.5 furlongs, but on the main track. It's a starter optional claiming race for 3-year-olds. We've got a good field of 8, and the morning line favorite from the Brian Corner barn is number 6, Crowning Gold, who is taking the blinkers off. Mike Smith in the saddle. Before we get your thoughts on the race, let's take a look at Crowning Gold's last effort here at Santa Anita. It was on January 21st in the 9th race, and Crowning Gold's going to be easy to find. He's wearing the red silks with Mike Smith in the saddle. They're in the lead, and if you played Crowning Gold this day, I think you thought you were a winner turning for home. Let's watch the stretch run for Crowning Gold.
And top of my game is the trailer. In the meantime, Crowning Gold takes the lead at the top of the stretch and is the one to catch. Down at the rail, King Adrock fighting on very willingly, just a half length back in second. 4 more lengths stay in the game. Angles out with the yellow blinkers and is finishing very nicely. It's Crowning Gold. Stay in the game's coming fast. Crowning Gold, lead diminishing. Stay in the game, flying. Stay in the game, and Tiago Pereira times it to perfection. Crowning Gold second. Then it was Army Star, Warren's World, and King Adrock.
The game was a 21-1 long shot, Ciaran, from the Steve Knapp barn. Desperate beat by Crowning Gold, who just lost by a neck after adding Lasix. It's interesting that trainer Brian Corner takes the blinkers off today. You can see there's not much statistics in the racing form in terms of his blinkers off statistics, but believe it or not, there's not much statistics over the last 5 years for Brian Corner either. He's only done it 5 times on horses that have started before, and he's won once, and it was his most recent start in August where he took the blinkers off a horse. So we don't really know if it's a power move or not for the Corner barn. My question for you, Ciaran, is that race was 6. Today's race is 6.5. Why do you like Crowning Gold in today's race?
Well, like I mentioned earlier, stats are a big part of it. And when Smith and Corner are hook up, they're 10 of 20, 18 of 20 in the money.
That's pretty good.
And 18 of 20 in the money. So when Mike is riding for him, he's on a live horse.
It's go time.
Yes. Hard to argue with stats like that. As you saw, he got nailed by a long shot deep in the stretch last time. So really, really good favorite here. And I actually handicapped my backup play before I watched the race replay. And my backup play is the number 1. And look who's riding, Tiago, who nailed.
And the ones are wild as we look at your graphics. You like the one in all of the first 3 races. Then you like number 1, Black Magician, here in race number 4. What is it other than Tiago riding that you like about Black Magician?
Second time LASIK. Jockey is just on a heater. Thanks to Knapp, of course. But, I mean, Tiago's winning 48%. And it's hard to argue with stats like that. As we said, when a jockey is on fire, he's going to get the mounts.
And Hector Palma and Tiago Pereira have also had success over the years as well, as you can see in the racing form. Race number 5 begins the aforementioned 20-cent Rainbow Pick 6. Multiple winners yesterday. That means the jackpot single ticket carryover now up to $21,000. That amount plus whatever is wagered today will be yours if you're the only winning ticket. And we kick things off going 6 furlongs on the turf course for $32,000 claimers, non-winners of 2 races lifetime, a field of 8. Maury Line favorite number 5, Constant Conflict, from a relatively, or I should say from another obscure barn, Kieran, Andrew Harris, 5-2 on the Maury Line. Talking about hot jocks, Edwin Maldonado second in the standings coming into this week's action. What say you about race 5?
Well, you don't bring me on for chalks, and this is a race where I'm firing away here. I actually don't like the top three choices in this race.
Music to my ears.
I'm going with number 2. I think the price is too good to ignore in a race like this. Now, I did say sometimes an apprentice weight break doesn't matter, but we're getting 11 pounds here, drops in class, top speed, and O'Neill supplemented for that extra weight break. And when he drops him like this, he's winning 26%. This is the money ride for him. Like, this is their go time. They expect to win here. We're getting a great price. This horse likes Santa Anita, 3 seconds, 3 races. So maybe today's that day where they finally, punch through with the win.
You make a very good point. Besides using the bug boy, as you mentioned, Kieran, they also enter for $28,000, which means they get additional weight off as well. So certainly, I think reading between the lines, as you mentioned, they are optimistic about the chances of Petruccio today, who's a juicy 12-1 on the morning line. You also like the rail once again, Papa Tiger, who has never been on the turf. What is it about Papa Tiger you like?
I just think this horse is better speed than the favorite. I think on paper, these are the best prices in here. And I actually probably think number 1's going to try and steal it on the front. So
fair enough. Let's take a look at race number 6. Take a look at this field size. We've got a field of 11 after the scratch of the Maury Line favorite. Number 6, Saul's Call, will not compete. Also, race 6 begins the 50-cent late pick 5. And this race is 5.5 furlongs on the main track for $10,000 claimers. This is the bottom here. And as you look through this field, I thought easily this was the most difficult race on today's card. A lot of ways you can go here, Kieran. Which way are you going in race 6?
And actually, for the contest, I had this race starred, thinking this is one of those races where someone's
going to... You got low-sal shippers. You got all sorts of chaos happening here.
I went with number 3 as my top choice. Drops in class, big jockey upgrade with big stats. And then, as a side thing, this trainer also entered another horse would be my 3rd choice in here, Liar Liar. But again, this seems like a big price race. And then my 2nd choice is Midnight Special. Tiago and Knapp. These two, that's what woke them up.
3 and 9 in race number 6. It's interesting you mentioned Winding, Kieran, because there were a lot of things I liked about Winding as well. First of all, take a look at his last effort on the turf course. He lost to Chaos Theory, an old hard-knocking claiming horse that was in the barns of Bob Hess and John Sadler, and most recently in the Mike Pipey barn. And Winding showed speed for a half mile before basically packing it in. Also, maybe more importantly, take a look at the trainer statistics if you have the racing form in front of you for Jesus Uranga. When he goes turf to dirt, granted it's a limited sample, he's done it 6 times. He's hit the winner's circle 1/3 of the time when doing that, which is exactly what that horse is doing today. Race number 7 begins the 50-cent late pick 4. We're going 1 mile on the turf course. These are for allowance horses, non-winners of 1 other than. We've got a field of 8. Number 7, Silver Surfer, is a first-time gelding. Speaking of Phil D'Amato, he's got 3 runners. They're the bottom 3 runners, but they are not the morning line favorite. Favoritism goes to number 1, Aligato from the Mark Glatt barn. Here's that guy, Juan Hernandez, again. Before we get your thoughts on the race, Kieran, we want to watch the replay of the 10th race that Aligato ran in back on January 7th. We're going to watch the full replay, and it's the runner that breaks from the rail, so he's going to be easy to spot. The one thing I want you to pay attention to is watch Flavia and ask this horse for speed out of the gate, and as you look through his running lines, you can see he doesn't have a whole lot of early speed. I think it was strategic in that they asked him for early speed in a $200,000 stakes race. He ran great and probably was best that day. You judge for yourself by watching the replay for Aligato on January 7th.
River Knight and Frankie Dettori. The last one will be Love Love. They're in the gate. And they're off in the Unusual Heat Turf Classic presented by City National Bank. Kings River Knight broke outward, but he did break very alertly. Doc Adams along the inside has a narrow advantage, and Colinga Road is in between them. Bang for Your Buck, 4th in the early going, now moving up to claim 3rd as they pass the stands the first time. Aligato is now in 5th. He's followed by Carmelita's Man, outside Royal and Rando, and another 3 to Love Love. Frankie Dettori and Kings River Knight on the outside. Doc Adams at the rail concedes the early lead and is in second as they head past the 6 furlong pole. It's Kings River Knight, a length and a half in front. Bang for Your Buck takes second. Doc Adams at the rail in third. Colinga Road fourth. Allegato is next, followed by Carmelita's Man, 6 lengths off the new leader, Bang for Your Buck. Another 3/4 back to Royal and Rando, and 2 more to Love Love. There's a half mile to go in the Unusual Heat Turf Classic presented by City National Bank. And Bang for Your Buck is the leader by a length. Kings River Knight is in second. Doc Adams in the clear third. Colinga Road a bit wide, but making a tiny bit of headway. Allegato hugs that rail in third, only 2.5 lengths off the pace. Carmelita's Man has been patiently handled. He'll need to find racing room. Love Love making a wide bid now. And Royal and Rando trails. They're at the top of the stretch. Kings River Knight re-engages up to take the lead. Allegato desperately needs room. Colinga Road running a giant race, and Love Love in the center of the course. Coming to the 16th pole. Colinga Road now hits the front. Kings River Knight trying to match strides. Colinga Road just in front at the wire. Colinga Road and Johnny V to take the Unusual Heat Turf Classic presented by City National Bank. Allegato got out late and was flying home along with Love Love in an exciting renewal.
Allegato desperate for room late, Kieran, as we saw, still earned an 86 Beyer speed figure in that defeat by a neck. Best last race Beyer speed figure in race number 7, other than the Invader, who draws post position number 3. So certainly looks like Allegato could be formidable today. Do you like Allegato on top in race 7?
I just like race 1 that won the race after the wire.
Picture says 1,000 words, doesn't it?
All you got to do is watch that video replay, and I can't argue with you singling number 1 in this race.
Fair enough. But, that's horse racing. As we saw, Allegato got beat last time out. You also like number 7, who is Silver Surfer, the first time gelding from the Phil D'Amato barn. What is it about Silver Surfer you like?
Well, Phil, and of course, it's a little red feather horse, so I got to support the partnership here. And I know, they place the horses to win. So.
And you talk about placing horses. They actually placed Silver Surfer last time we saw him, I should say, in 2021 in 2 stakes races. Now they're in an allowance race. Certainly some class relief for number 7, Silver Surfer. But Kieran's top pick is number 1, Allegato. Let's take a look at race number 8, sprinting 6 furlongs on the main track. Allowance optional claiming types, non-winners of 1 other than a field of 8, number 3. Let's Get Lucky from Brian Corner as 2 morning line favorites on today's card. Is Brian going to win race 8?
This horse has a monster closing kick, but it just always manages to miss, and that can be very frustrating, especially when you have the top horse in the race and they just can't get the photo taken. They're scared of the camera. The top 3 horses are actually really good value. I mean, we got 7-2, 3-1 for the top 3 choices. So I think I like Let's Get Lucky, but I'm going to hunt for some crazy long shot in this one.
Okay, and who's that going to be?
Number 8, My Harbor Dream. I mean, I guess it's going to be Tiago Day for me.
It's interesting you mentioned My Harbor's Dream, because last time out, he won over a good main track surface, but he's actually 3 for 6 on the main track. You can see 2 for 5 on a fast track and then 1 for 1 over at what's referred to as a wet track, but it was really a good track. So certainly all 3 career wins have come on the main track. He also got bet that day. It was morning line 8-1, got bet down to 4-1, 15-1 on the morning line with your man Tiago in the saddle.
And I mean, another reason I jumped on it, Val, he is a long shot winner for me over the years. Like when he hits on some good prices. So when I got a hot jockey hitting up with a trainer who hits on long shots, I got a bite.
Race number 9 is our feature race on the card. It's the $100,000 guaranteed purse Sweet Life Stakes. We're coming down the Hillside Turf Course. Always a great spectacle to watch and wager on. For 3-year-old fillies, it also begins the $1 Golden Hour Pick 4, linking our last 2 races here with the last 2 races at Golden Gate. This is another wide open race. Number 4, Manhattan Jungle, going route to sprint for trainer Michael McCarthy, is the 5-2 morning line favorite. Doug O'Neill has 2 in here, but the 3rd horse he entered, number 11, Happy Gal, did declare and did scratch out of the race, leaving us with a field of 10. This is a wide open race, Kieran, and I think it's begging for a price.
I love the Hillside course. This is Bomber Central, always has been. Some of my biggest wins have come on the Hillside course.
Well, we need a big win here in race number 9. Who's it going to be?
I'm going to make number 9, Naughty Lottie, my top choice. I mean, we've got a red hot trainer, Keith DeSormo, and his brother, who is now starting to light it up as well. He's on a heater too. And when these two team up, they usually hit very, very well. He's on a hot streak. This outside post is where you kind of want to be, especially on the Hillside course. We're dropping in class today. I think 12-1 is great value.
And the board is a bit difficult to see, but it looks like you like number 5, Pleasant Way, for second. Is that correct, if I can see it correctly?
Yes, 20-1, another price for the Hillside course. The favorite's a good horse, but we've got a horse dropping in value or dropping in class today, and we've got a jockey upgrade. Kimura hops on, and I think it's worth swinging in this race.
Kieran's top 2 picks in race number 9, both 9 and 5, go from a route to a sprint, which is typically an angle handicappers like to look at because the 6.5 down the hill sometimes does play like a route race. Let's close out the day in race number 10. Keep in mind, live racing resumes tomorrow here at Santa Anita, and of course, it's Big Game Sunday. That means we have an early post. 11 a.m. Pacific time will be our first post tomorrow. That's because we want to wrap up all the racing in time for you to enjoy the game, which kickoff is at 3:30 p.m. Pacific time. But first things first, race 10, we're back on the turf course. 6 furlongs the distance, maiden special weight 3-year-olds. This is a good quality field of lightly raced horses. Also, race 10 begins the $5 golden hour daily double. Scratch the 6. 1984 will not compete, leaves us with a field of 9. 2 first-time geldings, number 3, Azure Star, and number 5, Calm Sea, I should say. But the morning line favorite, the big purchase price, number 10, Nuclear, making his debut performance for the John Sadler barn, is the 3-1 morning line favorite. You've given us prices up to this point. I have a feeling you're going to give us somebody other than Chuck this race.
Well, it's going to be chalk because my price horse actually scratched, which was the number 6. So now, by default, I've got 2 chalks.
But you also like 9, who's a bit of a price at 4-1.
And turf sprint loaded with lots of high-priced debut horses who may need a race under them. So I was going with the Mullins horse with experience. Drops in class, second-time Lasix. Those angles tend to do well. 4-1 morning line, nothing great, but still not a bad price either.
Would be a great way to close out the 50-cent late pick 5, the 20-cent rainbow pick 6, and all the other exotic wagers as well. Keep in mind, as I mentioned, as if the wagering here at Santa Anita was not enough for you, we also have a new wager that the First Bet Racing Group is offering on a Saturday and Sunday basis. It combines the races between Santa Anita and Gulfstream Park, and the new wager is called the $1 Coast to Coast Pick 5. It's a $1 minimum, as I mentioned. It also has a low 15% takeout, and the sequence today is very, very interesting because not only does it start with Gulfstream Park race 9 at 1:07 Pacific time, you can see as you scan through the post times, all 5 races will be run in less than 60 minutes. So the action will be fast and furious on today's Coast to Coast Pick 5, which begins in Gulfstream Park race 9 at 1:07 p.m. Pacific time. Kieran, thanks so much for your time and insight today. Nothing but good luck, not only in today's contest, the $1,500 NHC Super Qualifier that you can play both on track and also online at ExpressBet in case you watching want to play, but also in all your tournament endeavors going forward.
Thanks for having me on.
Thanks so much. Thanks for all of you for watching as well. Hope we helped you pick a few winners. If not, don't blame us. We'll do it all again tomorrow. Make sure you have some fun and good luck, everybody, okay?